Welcome to Talkex, Ordinary to Extraordinary, where we bring you unconventional, radical personas. My name is Rohit Bassi, and I welcome you to the show. Today, we have an amazing individual on the show. He is known as the Sherpa of coaches, leaders, and outliers. If you are aware of Sherpas, one of the most amazing thing about Sherpas is they take people to high altitudes so that they can reach their peak performance. And this is what this individual does. He is not concerned about limelight. He is not concerned about fame. All he wants to do is serve and help. Thank you, Arjun Aiyar, for coming to the show. Thank you, Arjun.
It's great to be here. How are you today, Rohit?
I am fine, thank you, Arjun.
Fantastic.
So let's start off, and we're going to deep dive into this. For the people, for the listeners, for the audience, just a brief about you. Who are you?
One of my preferred authors is a gentleman by the name of John Maxwell, considered to be the world's most prominent teacher on the subject of leadership. John Maxwell said the two most important days of your life are, number one, the day you were born, and number two, the day you know why you were born. My day number two happened in February of 1998 in Johannesburg, South Africa, where I met my teacher, my mentor, my guide, Basil Harris. And that was the transformation moment. That was the emergence of the caterpillar from the chrysalis, me starting to live my true life purpose. I was fortunate enough to study in Australia. Prior to that, I did my MBA at Bond University, majored in finance and information systems, worked in banking for a few years, corporate banking, selling a product called cash management services, retail banking, selling retail liabilities. And after meeting Basil in Johannesburg, decided to pursue my passion, my dream. And that's what I've been doing ever since. So for the last 23 years, I've been a life coach, a motivational speaker, a corporate trainer, and a passionate spiritualist, very interested in not just the empirical, but also esoteric. So yeah, that's the succinct version of who I am, I suppose, yes.
What is your philosophy on success of abundance? You're not a person who likes fame. You're not a person who's on social media. Yet, you, in my eyes, and from what I've seen through my network and other people, you are pretty well known. So what is your success and abundance philosophy, which senior execs, MBA students, professionals would love to know?
Yeah, that's fair. So the greatest influencer in my professional life has been my mentor, Basil. And Basil and his wife, Leonie, have been my teachers, my guides, my mentors, my gurus for the last 23 years. And he imbued in me three tenets, three principles, three ideas, three philosophies that I have embodied over the years. And this is what has kind of held me in good stead, taken me through challenging times, brought me to a higher place rather than be brought down by the challenges. So the first thing he said, and he taught me, the philosophy is, number one, to every disadvantage, there is an advantage. That's number one. To every disadvantage, there is an advantage. Number two, he says, I face every adversity with the attitude that the seeds of a greater benefit shall emerge. That's number two. I face every adversity with the attitude that the seeds of a greater benefit shall emerge. And number three, I have the capacity to accept criticism without resentment. I have the capacity to accept criticism without resentment. And these are affirmations, incantations, and philosophy that has been part of who I am, how I live my life, and where it has kind of taken me forward. And then there was a book that I read after that further reinforced these ideas empirically. And that is something that resonated, and in many ways the rest is history. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but you're welcome to probe further.
So this is interesting. You said wealth, but you also said success balanced in their life.
Yeah.
So it's not all about wealth, is it? It's not all about the materialistic thing. It's the other things which make them successful as well. Now, you have been helping leaders, professionals or what we call as outliers or change makers out there. When you are dealing with these people and they want to reach that peak performance, like a Sherpa taking that person on Mount Everest on that high altitude, how do you interact with them? How do you connect with them to show them how they can reach peak performance?
Yeah. You see, a guiding principle for success, the guiding principle of success or for success is to know your life purpose. Identify at some point in time in your life the reason why you have incarnated in this physical form at this point in time. You see, Rohit, you and me were not born just to make a living. You and me were born to live our making. And when we start to discover how we can make a living by living our making, the doorway to abundance opens up in avalanches. And to me, when I'm working with individuals, leaders specifically, and they define their success as not just work success, but also success in their health, in their relationships, their hobbies, their personal pursuits, we get to the core through a questioning process, trying to discover, enabling them to evoke curiosity within themselves, to really birth, to understand who they are, what they want out of life, and where they want to head, who they want to become. So life purpose to me is at the central core, and the formula for abundance starts with you living your life purpose. When you live your purpose, abundance flows to you. When you live off purpose, abundance moves away from you.
They may have this, I'm going to be the devil's advocate of it, say, Arjun, I have no time for life purpose. I need to earn money to live my life and earn money for my family. What would you say to those people? And I'm talking about, these are people who are leaders as well. These are professionals who are either going up their career ladder or they want to reach somewhere. What would you say with someone of that way of looking at life?
So my initial question to them would be, if time and money were not a challenge, would you desire to at least discover that purpose and move forward? And 9.99999 times out of 10, they'd say yes. So now let's look at the scenario that they are in. And I'm going to talk about 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
When you have only one path, and one path only, that's called a compulsion.
Okay.
Okay? That means there's no other option. Okay? The second is, now if you have two paths, you can choose between A and B. That's a dilemma. Okay? When you have three options, now that is the beginning of choice.
Okay.
Okay? So in this scenario, the question you were asking me, hey, I want to make money, and my preceding question, yeah, but I would like to have my life purpose. So do I get money or do I pursue my life purpose? This is this or that. That's a dilemma. I'd like to bring in the third option. What if we could do both? Or that, it's this and that. And it is entirely within the realm of human possibility, because hundreds and thousands and millions of others have done it, where they have a full-time job, pursue that job in order to earn money and pay their bills and perhaps even build a capital investment, and on the side start to develop an enterprise or a hobby or something that can become their life purpose. And to me, when I say this, it's not theoretical, because this is what I did. I worked for 3 years, 1.5 in corporate banking, 1.5 in retail banking, long hours, tedious amount of effort and commitment needed to be put into that work, high performance standards. But I burned the candle on both ends for those 3 years, worked weekends, worked weeknights to establish ideas around my enterprise, contacts, networking, and so forth, until I got to a point where I was able to give up my job and pursue my passion on a full-time basis. So I've done it. And to me, one of my philosophies also is I find it very difficult to give advice to somebody unless either A, I've done it, or I know a handful of other people personally who've also done it, and I'm able to reflect those folks and myself as a model to people seeking to achieve what they want to achieve. So yeah.
As I'm hearing you, I'm listening to you, a thought pops into my mind is, does this mean that one has to look at what their beliefs are, question their beliefs, challenge their beliefs? Is this what you're saying to me?
Well, most of human mental challenges end up as a binary question or a dilemma. Should I do this or should I do that? Should I go left or should I go right? Should I study further or should I not study further? Majority of our conscious thinking, and when you study cognition and when you study folks where the way they analyze situations and come to decision making, end up with a binary kind of situation. Should I do this or that? Yep. And when you place yourself in a question format of should I do option A or option B, it's like tossing a coin, heads or tails. I say, how about we roll a dice that has got 6 sides instead? What's a third option you haven't considered? What's a fourth? What might be a fifth? Could we incept a sixth idea? And this can come through with questions. And all I did now is I ask questions, and a great question is what's a third idea that we haven't considered? And now we start opening up a new paradigm. What if we could do both? What if we could do a combination of both? What if we postpone our decision and think about this a little bit longer before coming up with a great idea? Who is somebody else who has been in this situation, who has come up with a third idea, and how can I find them? Curiosity in that direction. And now we start opening up paradigms and limitations start to disappear. And so asking the right question now allows you to broaden the landscape of choices, and the more choices you have, the better you feel. It's like eating at a buffet. Wow, I've got these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 different things to eat from, rather than just, hey, some rice and vegetables and salad. You know, okay, that's a little bit, but this is more tantalizing, more appealing, more empowering, more abundance. So, yeah.
Now, when we talk about abundance, there's so many people who talk about it, they write about it. Some of them might be, they walk the talk for it.
Yeah.
In your experience, when you are coaching these leaders, coaching these change makers, outliers, senior execs, and they come to you and saying, I'm blocked.
Yeah.
Or, I don't get what you're saying, Arjun. What do you do with them? How, because it happens to everyone at one time or the other.
Yeah. You see, if you look at human nature, we are what in psychology is referred to as teleological beings.
Okay, that's a big word. Can you repeat that again?
Teleological. And the root form is teleos and logos, okay? Which essentially in Latin means goal-seeking. As human beings, our psychology is designed such that we seek more. Let me give you an example from the plant kingdom.
Okay.
If you have a pot plant at home, you place it on the window, you will notice that it tends to lean towards the sunlight because a plant is teleological. It seeks nurturing and sustenance. It seeks to be more of who it really is, so it leans towards the sunlight. So that's the plant kingdom. How tall will a tree grow is a question that's asked. And the answer to that question is as tall as it can. A tree will grow as tall as it can because a tree is teleological. Animals are teleological. They gravitate towards hunting grounds, watering holes, where their prey is, areas, geographies that provide them with sustenance. And that's the animal kingdom. How long will an animal live? As long as it can. And now we come to the human race. And the challenging thing about the human race is we human beings, because of our intelligence, have been endowed with the gift of choice. So we can choose moment to moment whether to comply with our teleology, which is to utilize our cognitive faculty to create ideas towards empowerment and growth for self as well as for others, or we can sit on the couch watching TV and eating Cheetos. And that's a choice we can make in that moment, which is a non-compliance with our teleology. So when someone comes to me with certain blockages, by and large, I find that they are not living in compliance with their teleology. And so the philosophy in this area is to have something you've never had before. You've got to do something you've never done before.
Okay.
And to do something you've never done before, you've got to be someone you've never been before. And so we come to the be, the human beings. We're human beings, not human doings. And so be better, not bitter. Be persistent, be passionate, be compassionate, be creative.
Which comes to a next question is, as you're speaking, I thought about this and I said, over the COVID period, you did something which you would never do before. And when that happened, I was shocked. I was extremely happy, but you did something.
Yeah.
But you would say, not gonna do. I want to tell the world what it was.
Good Lord, lockdown, COVID, sitting in my apartment in Bardubai, right? Frustrated, wanting to move out, and like, what can I do? So, you know, when you're thinking, right, so I must share with you at the root of starting to move in the right direction towards thoughts. And essentially, let me give you the analogy of a construction worker operating a crane, all right? So if he's operating a crane, he's got all these levers in front of him. Imagine he's got 3 levers. And this is how the brain works. And the question here is, what am I focusing on? Or what am I thinking about? So let's look at the first lever. The first lever has position 1 and position 2. The second lever has position 1 and position 2, and the third lever has position 1, 2, and 3. So first lever is position 1 and position 2. Position 1 is, what do I have? Okay, all right?
Yep.
And position 2 is, what's missing?
Okay.
All right, so what do I have in my life and what's missing? So at any point in time, I could be thinking more about what I have in my life, the things that I'm endowed with, the gifts that I have, the opportunities that are currently present, or I could be thinking, moaning, groaning, and complaining about things that are missing in my life. That's a choice that I'm making. Now, I'm giving you an oversimplified version of it. There's another dimension to this, but we could get into that some other time. The second lever is, again, a thought choice that I'm making moment to moment to moment. Am I thinking of things that are beyond my control, or am I thinking of things that are under my control? A, B, C, areas beyond control or areas under control. That's my second lever. That's a thought choice I'm making. The third choice I'm making is, am I thinking mostly about the past, mostly about the present, or mostly about the future? Now, all of us have these 3 levers in front of us. And the larger paradigm that we're querying here is, what are you mostly thinking about in this situation? COVID came, here I am, locked down. Hey, you know, what would I like to do? And I'm asking myself, you know, I don't have control. This is beyond my control. I don't control government policy and, you know, this lockdown and all this situation. And the next question I ask is, what is under my control? I ask, instead of what's missing, I ask, what do I have? Instead of moaning about the past or being fearful of the future, I'm thinking, what can I do in the present?
Exceed College is very well known for teachers training. And they do everything online. You had this massive block online. And there are many teachers still have a massive block, that resistance of online. What would you suggest to them, recommend to them to take that step to move forward and embrace online?
You know, human nature is such that we all want change, but we don't want to change. Right? So we want changes in government policy, company policy, environment, the way the roads are built, the municipality, and we want other people to behave in particular ways which represent change, better products from the companies that manufacture. But when it comes to us, now we become a little bit resistant. If COVID has taught us one thing, is that now we've moved from normal to a new normal. And the new normal is essentially at its core is depicted by change. It's new. We can't afford to do things the way we did them before. We need to embrace a blended model of high touch, which is in person, and high tech, which is online. And that is a beautiful combination which now is required for the new milieu that we are in. And if we don't do it, you're going to be run over. If you're not willing to expand, you will be expendable. So make that change.
Wow. I like the way you make that change. Arjun, I want to thank you for this very highly energetic talk, and it's interesting we speaking about success and abundance and how it's important in our own learning to have success and abundance in that. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Lovely.